Hey everyone, it's Natasha. In today's video, I'm going to show you a 5 in a row mini unit. You can get this unit for free thanks to the generosity of 5 in a row. I'm going to put a coupon code down in the description box. So if you go to the 5 in a row website, add the Hello Lighthouse mini unit to your cart and then add in the coupon code, it will be absolutely free for you. And so I'm going to show you what this mini unit entails, and I think you're going to love it. Now, 5 in a row has a new mini unit that comes out every month, and so I'm going to be doing a series on the 5 in a row mini units. This is the first video of the series. However, in this video, I'm actually going to show you inside the mini unit because I was given permission from 5 in a row to do that because this is a free gift that anybody can get right now. They're trying to help out homeschoolers in this time, and so I am able to show you inside this. In the rest of the series, I will be showing you 3 more different 5 in a row mini units, but I won't necessarily be showing you inside, but I will be showing you how we use them and how I plan for them. But this one, I'm going to show you the whole thing. So we've got the 5 in a row mini unit, Hello Lighthouse. This is a download. So it's a PDF download. You download and you can print out. And of course you need the book. So for this one, it is Hello Lighthouse. And I'll show you inside this book too. It is gorgeous. And then there's some go-along books that are suggested in each mini unit. And so one of the go-along books that I got was The Littlest Lighthouse Keeper. Now my library had just opened up when I got this unit, and so they were not getting books from other libraries for interlibrary loans, and so I was limited a little bit on what I could get, but it was okay because it still worked out beautifully. You don't have to have any of the go-along books, but you do need, of course, the main book that the mini unit is on. In this case is Hello Lighthouse. Let's take a look in the mini unit, and then I will show you inside the book itself. So basically what I did is I printed out the mini unit. Now it's just a couple of pages, so it's not much at all. The wonderful thing about the mini units is that you can use it for your kids ages 2 all the way to 12. See that? So if you want to do family style learning, this is perfect for kids ages 2 to 12. So the girls I did this with are 4, 8, and 10. So I had a before 5 in a row kiddo, I had a 5 in a row kiddo, and I had a beyond 5 in a row kiddo. So if you're not familiar with 5 in a row, they offer a complete curriculum where they have before 5 in a row, 5 in a row, and beyond 5 in a row that are broken down into those age categories. But these mini units cover all 3 age categories from 2 to 12, and that's why it is so perfect for moms in my situation where you have kids in different age levels. So here's what I did. I printed out this 5 in a row planning page. This is from Forever for Always No Matter What.com. I will link that down below to give her credit. And it has Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Bible verse, craft supplies / food supplies. I just made this art and cooking, math, history, social studies, language arts, health and fitness, science and nature, and go-along books. Okay, so what I did is I went through this and I just chose 2 to 3 things per day that we would do. Okay, so let's take a look. First, we have the title, the author, the illustrator, and the copyright, and then we have a story summary. Then we have ideas for before 5 in a row and more before 5 in a row. And so it says, of course, that it would be great to provide your child with toy boats to play with while listening to you read Hello Lighthouse. My daughter just got this big ship from the thrift store that she was playing with. We also have toy boats, and we have a water table, which is really fun as well. So it's just because little kids can have a hard time listening, but when they're engaged and playing, they actually pick up a lot more than you think. It suggests having a flashlight, things like a blue scarf, a little notebook, a can of beans, a plate, and a spoon for a pretend play so the kids can act out the story. What I love about this mini unit is that there's these little teaching tips all throughout. And so this teaching tip said, themed toys set out for children to find is often referred to as an invitation to play. What a lovely idea. Invite them to play. Don't tell them when or how. You don't even have to say anything. Just put the items out in an area and let your child discover them. Often what you'll find is when you are reading a story such as Hello Lighthouse, and then you leave out toys that are themed like the story, they'll end up reenacting the story, and really you can see those story elements in action in your little ones. It's really neat. And then it gives some go-along books, and so we got the Littlest Lighthouse Keeper from the library, but it had another one too. Then we get into the 5 in a row, ages 5 to 9. So this has different categories or different subjects, you could say. So we have social studies, geography. Where are the lighthouses located in the U.S.? And so we have a worksheet for that. We painted kind of where the oceans were, and we looked online to find where the lighthouses were, and we also had our globe, and we found Newfoundland on the globe, so that was pretty neat. There are some go-along books listed, but my library did not have these, so we didn't get those library books. But there's also a teaching tip here about vocabulary. Then we have language, repetition, and it gives you information about the author's use of repetition in the story. And so what we did is we talked about why the author might use that repetition, like hello, hello, hello. And we went through the whole book and found all the places of repetition, okay? And then we have a hands-on activity here. Hands-on examples help your child better understand and process information. Let your child place a flashlight on the tabletop, have them turn the flashlight and watch as the light rotates past them on each 360-degree turn. And you can make it a silly game by being the lighthouse. Of course, my kids loved that. Then there is art. So you see how I've scheduled this here? We did the mapping worksheet, and we did the properties of light vocab, which we'll get to in just a second, on day 1 after we read the story. Day 2, we read the story again. We found Newfoundland on a globe, and we did a plan a trip activity. That's in the beyond. I wrote initials. If there was only 1 or 2 children doing it, I would write initials for which child that was. And so that's how I just went through, and I tried to evenly spread out the activities. So then we had art, and it was a day mark, and so we learned what a day mark was, and then my kids painted some day marks on their papers here. So we've got this one, and we've got this one, and we learned what a day mark is, and these activity sheets come with the download. So these come right with it, and we just use some watercolor paints to make our day marks. And of course, you know, I've got girls, so they're very girly day marks. And then we had some applied math, addition and multiplication, lighthouse steps. And so it says for younger students, you can have them walk up and down to count the steps they have in their house, because it was talking about and relating this to how a lighthouse keeper could have to go as many as 200 steps 3 times a night. And so we were trying to see, you know, how much work that actually is. So for the younger ones, my 4-year-old, she just climbed the steps and counted them. We have 16 stairs in our house, apparently. And then my 8 and 10-year-old, and then my 4-year-old ended up joining in, even though she doesn't count to 200 yet. But my 8 and 10-year-old went up and down the stairs until they got to 200. And then my 4-year-old just joined in, but without the counting part. They thought that was really fun to go up and down the stairs 200 steps. But then we talked about how the lighthouse keeper would have 200 steps just, you know, maybe one way, and then they had to go back down, and they had to do that 3 times a night and not getting sleep and all of that. So that was really fun. Then we had our little individual whiteboards, and my 8 and 10-year-olds answered some questions here, some word problems here, and then we did some multiplication. So that was really awesome how it has applied math right in here too. Our science lesson was on properties of light, which went with our vocabulary words. So we learned about reflect, transmit, and absorb. We learned those properties of light and what those meant, and we used a flashlight, and we used some different materials to see if they were if the light was absorbed or transmitted or reflected. And so, you know, for example, we put the flashlight through a clear glass cup, or we put the flashlight and faced it onto the solid table, and so forth. And then we have make it memorable, use games to reinforce learning. And so it talks about Laser Maze Junior, but we actually have the Laser Maze, not the Junior edition. And so we played Laser Maze because that, again, shows light by refracting it. So that was a really cool tie-in. Now, again, you don't have to go purchase this game. And we didn't go purchase the Laser Maze Junior, but we just happened to have the Laser Maze on hand. And I actually really highly recommend Laser Maze. It's by Think Fun, and Laser Maze Junior. They're by Think Fun. Think Fun is an amazing company. And then we have a virtual or real life field trip. So we don't have any lighthouses around us, so we couldn't go on a real field trip, but we did go on a virtual field trip. And I will link down below the YouTube video that we watched to have our virtual field trip. It was super, super fun. Okay, so then we have some Beyond 5 in a Row ideas. And so we have social studies, plan a trip to Newfoundland. And so they can plan an imaginary trip. They can research Newfoundland with library books or on the internet. And they can write up either notes or lists or travel itineraries. And then there's some go-along books for the Beyond students as well. But again, my library didn't have those books, so we didn't have those. And then for the 9 to 12-year-olds, the language was repetition in a short story or poem. So we begin with the repetition lesson that we already did, and then we listened to Edgar Allan Poe's The Bells poem. Now, even though this was intended to be for my 9 to 12-year-olds, we actually all listened to it. We found it on YouTube, a reading on YouTube. And again, I will link that down below because that poem is actually kind of difficult to get the tune right to make it actually sound like bells. And then they can try writing a short story or poem using repetition themselves. And then, of course, there is a recipe, and my kids just absolutely love cooking. So we have the Lighthouse Keeper's pork and beans because in the book it does talk about that. Now, there is this teacher's notes page that you can use. There's places for notes, books, DVDs, audiobooks, websites, or links, related field trip opportunities, favorite quote or memory during study. Now, I didn't use this one. I used this 5 in a Row planning page instead. This book was absolutely beautiful. One thing we noticed is you can't see this, but the inside is nighttime, and the cover, the slipcover, is daytime. And we can't take this off because it's a library book. We wished we could. We were like, man, we want to see that in full. So I think actually that we really enjoyed this book so much. This is one that I will probably buy to have in our home library. But it is just this precious story about this lighthouse keeper, and they end up bringing him his wife, which made me so happy that his wife got to come. Let's see, there we go. His wife was brought to him, which was awesome. Here we talk about the pork and beans. It mentions the pork and beans many times. And then it talks about all the different weather. This is another thing too, is I felt like there was even more ways to expand upon this. You could do a whole study on boats. You could do a whole study on weather or storms at sea. You could do a study on childbirth. There's all kinds of things, because you can see here, we've got the sea turns into a carpet of ice. Hello, hello, hello. The lighthouse keeper gets sick and the wife is taking care of him. It talked a lot about the logbook and how they document everything in the logbook. It talks about icebergs and whales, so you can expand this to a study on icebergs and whales even. And then this page, isn't this just the sweetest page? She's having a baby, and my girls are so excited about that. And then here is the precious baby, and they're writing it in the logbook. And I mean, isn't this just gorgeous? These pictures are absolutely gorgeous. And then we watch the little baby grow up. And they keep going. The story keeps going. It talks about the lighthouse keeper's work. And then this page folds out. Isn't that awesome? And so basically at the end of the story, they are no longer needed to be lighthouse keepers, and so they move across to the land, and you can see the little girl is now much older. And then we did read this about the lighthouse, and it talks about all the work that the lighthouse keepers would do and why they were needed, and then why they were not needed eventually, because electric lights began to replace oil lamps in the 1920s, and then soon after automated machines replaced clockwork, and the keeper's work was done. And so this is just a beautiful story of, you know, the lighthouse keeper's job, but also his family life and kind of those growing pains, so to speak, and the changes of life. And I just absolutely love this book. This is amazing. This is definitely a keeper. The Littlest Lighthouse Keeper. And this was just a cute little book about the mouse. And he thinks that the lighthouse keeper has left him, but the lighthouse keeper just actually went to the dentist. And then he gets these little friends, this snail and this bird and this spider, who are all helping him out. And he's taking care of the lighthouse while the lighthouse keeper is gone. And they all worked so hard together. Nice teamwork. Now this is a super cute book too. We talked about, oh, look at this day mark on the lighthouse and that sort of thing. But the Hello Lighthouse really takes the cake. And then I did like this book though, because it has notes for parents and teachers and things to talk about and point out. And so this book is really awesome for those before kiddos, but you really just can't beat the Hello Lighthouse. So I hope that was helpful to you. Again, I'm going to put the link down below along with the code so you can download this and get it for free yourself. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button if you like this video. And don't forget to subscribe if you love all things homeschool.